created, أم خلقوا من غير شيء أم هم الخالقون. This is an argument from the Quran. I can show you in chapter 52 verse 35 to 36 of the Quran. أم خلقوا من غير شيء أم هم الخالقون. Were they created by nothing? You need to reflect.
Yes.
Yeah. أم هم الخالقون, or were they themselves the creators? Now think. أم خلقوا السماوات والأرض, or did they create the heavens and the earth? I want you to ponder. بل لا يقنون. Rather they are uncertain. This is not for you to answer. This is something that you already know in your heart. Because something cannot come by nothing. Something cannot create by itself. Yeah, because you cannot exist and not exist at the same time. Either you existed all the time, or you began to exist. And if you began to exist, then it requires an explanation. Am khalaqu samawati wal ard. Did we create the heavens and the earth? No. We know we didn't create this magnificent creation. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why doesn't He give you the answer?
Because then it destroys the whole purpose of it.
No, because you know the answer. He doesn't need to give you the answer. But those who reject the existence of Allah, Allah talks about the psychological state of mind. بَلْ لَا يُقِنُونَ. Rather they're uncertain. You mentioned a few months ago that we can't be certain about anything. The Quran mentioned 49 years ago, this is the psychology of atheism. If you don't believe in the existence of the Creator, everything that you say is uncertain. That means including your own existence.
No, that's well. I mean, some people do say we could be in a simulation. So.
But do you believe in that? Forget about other people.
No, I want that.
Fantastic. So therefore, to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is well grounded, is solidified, and that's why we must have a purpose in life. Yeah? Who should give us the purpose of our life? The one who created us in the first place, not man. I'm not going to be a slave to human beings. I'm not going to be a slave to society.
You shouldn't be a slave to anyone.
But everyone is a slave to something.
In theory.
No.
But we all have to make a choice, don't we?
No.
You can choose.
That's an illusion.
To be a slave.
But in reality, you have a prison.
Explain that.
Okay, a prison that you can't touch and feel. Your mind. Everything that you brought up about morality, whatever, that's all because of society.
For example?
Don't rape.
Sure.
But then
you don't think that's an intrinsic kind of thing?
So you're just
born
proving
with that kind of perception not to rape.
Absolutely. So that's proving my point, isn't it? That's something intrinsic.
Is it?
Yeah, that's intrinsic. But there are other societies where they've conditioned the society to say it's fine. That's the reason why 100 years ago in this country, homosexuality was illegal.
Yeah.
Now
you don't agree that it should be legal.
Yeah, but that's because of my religion,
That's
Islam.
what I mean.
Yeah. But similarly, you have a different way of life. You don't want to call it religion, that's fine. But you do follow a systematic way of life, whether you like it or not.
To be honest, I don't agree with a lot of different things that happen even in this country.
That's fine.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Like,
fine. That's fine.
yeah.
But then we all are slaves to something. Whether you're slave to materialism, whether you're slave to gods or celebrities or idols, we're all slave to something. That is the brutal truth.
I still don't agree with that, because being a slave to something implies sort of a complete lack of control, a complete lack of choice. You have the choice taken from you.
Okay.
You have no choice but to follow whatever that thing dictates.
Do you work? Do you work?
Of course I do work.
Why do you work?
Okay. Why do you work?
Because it gives me satisfaction to work.
But you have to work for an employer, right?
I do work for an employer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a slave to something.
That
So
doesn't mean you're a slave.
You are.
No, of course not.
No. A slave meaning someone you have to agree with the terms and conditions. It's just a different type of
I
slavery.
read the contract.
Yeah.
And I've decided, okay, I'm happy
Yeah.
to follow what this says.
Yeah.
So I've signed my name on it.
Yeah, but it's still slavery.
Of course not.
Because no. Okay, would you get paid if you didn't sign the terms and conditions?
No.
So you are dictated by the employer. You've been conditioned. You have to follow.
Forget the term slavery.
Forget. No. There's different types of slavery. Yeah. Everyone is programmed to say, oh, I need to work 9 to 5, or I need to go to university. Yeah.
Some people are.
Yeah,
I didn't go to university. I
yeah,
did very well.
Yeah, but that's the point. The fact that you have to work because you have to sign the terms and conditions, you're under the authority of the employer.
Within the constraints of that employment.
Yeah.
I choose to. I can say if I don't like it, I can still quit.
Yeah, but
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I see what you're saying, but it's still slavery.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, fine, no problem. But we agree the existence of the Creator.
We don't agree with that. No.
We agree. You just said it makes sense.
In the definition, if there were to be a perfect, all-powerful being,
Yes, that's the concept of God in
then
Islam.
the definition you gave me, I can't see anything with it that I find wrong.
You don't have to. Yeah, but what's that? But that's an evidence that it has to be true.
I could define for you a being and give you the parameters of that being. And just because you said, yeah, that makes
Give me one
100%
example.
something like that could exist,
Give me
doesn't
one.
mean it does exist.
Give me one example.
I don't know, some kind of birds that this and that. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
You
I
can't
can
get-
define it in a way that's logical.
But you can't give me one example.
I can't, not that I
Give me,
can't, I
give me,
could,
what, give me
but
one
I don't
example.
want to.
Give me one example that it doesn't make sense, but it's true.
It doesn't make sense, but it's true.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything.
So we'll put you on test now.
I don't know, jellyfish. Jellyfish makes sense to you?
Does jellyfish exist?
They exist.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but that's circular. You're not really.
Yeah, but it exists.
But your argument is
Okay, I'll
circular.
turn that back on you. Yeah.
Okay.
Did dinosaurs exist?
Dinosaurs exist. Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. Why not? It doesn't affect my religion.
They did exist. They did exist. What about evolution? Did we evolve?
I'm sorry?
Did we evolve? Did human beings
Yeah.
evolve from a common ancestor?
No.
You don't believe that?
No, I don't
There's
believe in
evidence
that.
for it.
I'm sorry?
There's evidence for it.
No, there's no evidence.
There's no evidence for it.
No, there's no evidence. You're making assumptions.
I'm not making assumptions.
Okay. Do you know how the scientific method works?
Well, yeah.
Okay, you explain to me.
You make a claim that you have to substantiate it with evidence.
No, that's not scientific method.
Okay, so
I'll explain to you.
on,
Scientific method is a collection of data
Yeah.
that has to be done through repeatability, experimentation,
Sure.
and repeatability. Right. When you were talking about the Darwinian evolution,
yeah.
that's something we cannot repeat it.
Well, it's not that it's not Darwinian
One second.
necessarily, but
If you let me finish.
sure, go on.
It's something that you cannot repeat. It's not something that you cannot observe. It's not something that you can test.
Yeah.
So, and also, in science, you have called the hypothesis, and you have theory.
Yeah.
Okay. Hypothesis is basically a set of propositions,
Okay.
but no evidence. So you can make a statement.
Sure.
I believe in X, Y, and Z. That's a hypothesis.
Yeah.
A theory means there is an overwhelming evidence, but it's provisional.
Right.
But it's provisional,
Okay. Meaning provisional meaning what?
meaning that it can open to be incorrect.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So Darwin evolution is just the best explanation. It's not
But
certain.
there are.
According to scientific model.
I understand what you're saying, but we do have, biological evidence that
You haven't.
of different beings,
You haven't.
precursors to Homo sapiens.
You haven't.
I've seen them. I've been to the museum. I've seen them.
No. That's all. You're making.
Animal kingdom.
Wait. You're using a philosophical tool called the inference to the best explanation.
Yeah.
It's not based on.
Explain what you mean by that.
Okay. Basically, you have these fossil evidences, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
you're
they're not fossils, right?
and you have like segmented, scattered evidences, and all you're doing is you're trying to put it together and reconstruct. That's the best you do. You haven't got, because you're talking about a process of millions of years. So how can you? So therefore, whether you like it or not, you put your faith. You actually put your faith in Darwin evolution.
It's not that I put my faith in it. Whether or not we really did evolve in the way
Yes.
Darwin describes
Yes.
wouldn't change my life
But
in
it's
any way.
but it's not the same level of evidence as bacteria, because we can
Sure,
because
that's true. That's true.
right. So
But what I was saying,
so
can I
would you
just say,
but would you say that you have a degree of faith
in
Darwin evolution? You have faith
I
in Darwin
have
evolution.
faith.
There you go.
that
So I have faith. I have faith in the
individuals-
creator.
No, I don't have faith. I don't have faith in Darwin evolution, but I
Why
have
do you
faith in
trust
the.
that, really?
Wait.
No.
But what I do have faith is that the individuals who've made their life's work to explain where we come from. If they say for now, this is the best thing we can come up with,
Yeah.
based on the evidence we have at the moment, I'll say okay, fair enough. But then, just like you said, a
Yeah.
theory,
But sir,
can change
but sir,
over
you,
time.
but sir, you put your testimony in men.
Definitely.
You put your faith in men.
100%.
I'll give you one evidence from the Quran,
100%.
and I want you to reflect. Because in reality, you don't actually have hardcore evidences for Darwin evolution. You're just
doesn't need to be hardcore.
you're just going by the testimony of
It's not
scientists.
testimony though. There's physical evidence of things that have existed that are
and
not
who-
Homo sapiens.
And who tested those evidences? You?
It doesn't matter.
Why not?
What's the point of lying about it? They're going to just come up with it for no reason.
No. You put your faith in men.
It's not faith. I'm telling you,
No, you're-
logically speaking, why would they just say something's true if it isn't?
No. The point is this, Alexandra. You haven't done the experiment for yourself. You actually put your faith in the scientists who did those
Yeah, but
experiments.
If the only thing
And they
anyone
were-
ever believes is empirical evidence,
Yeah.
then nothing will ever be believed.
Okay, we're talking about Darwin evolution that happened millions of years ago,
Sure,
and we weren't there.
There's plenty of
Okay.
different things that are like that. but we
There's
still-
there's one verse in the Quran.
Go on.
There's one verse in the Quran, and it's related to this point as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Allah says, "I did not make them, mankind and jinn, I do not make them witness to the creation of the heavens and the earth, or to the creation of themselves. I would not have taken the misguided as assistants.
Sorry,
Okay.
the last bit I didn't catch it.
Okay.
I would not have taken.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No need to apologize. He said, I do not make them witness to the creation of the heavens and the earth, or to the creation of themselves, and I will not have taken the misguided as assistants. So what Allah is telling us here is that, look, you didn't witness your own creation, you didn't witness to the creation of the heavens and the earth, so, but all of your conclusions about Darwin evolution, that's only because you're going by what the scientists have mentioned, and you put your faith in the scientists.
They've not led us astray so far.
They're not led astray so far. Okay, did anyone say Darwin evolution is a fact?
No, of course not.
So,
It's a theory.
okay, so it's a theory. So it could be wrong.
Of course.
Okay,
Definitely.
but the Quran on the other hand is something that we can objectively proven to be true.
You say that.
I say that, look, the reason why I believe in Adam and Eve is because the Quran says so and the Sunnah.
That's what I mean, exactly.
Right, but that's not a weak argument, because you're going by the same, but you're going by the same paradigm. Look, I believe in Adam and Eve because
I
Allah.
understand what you're saying. You're comparing in the sense that you
Yeah.
believe something based off something, and I believe something based off something.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
Exactly.
I do understand.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
understand.
So the point I'm making, Alexandra, is that, look, you mentioned yourself that Darwin evolution is not a fact; it's a theory, meaning that it's provisional and it can be open to be incorrect.
But that's the point. They're willing to say we could be wrong.
Yeah.
But if we're wrong, we'll amend and we'll tell you what's correct.
Why do they say that?
Why?
Yes.
Because they acknowledge that at the end of the day, we weren't there. We can't know 100%. But based off what we can collect,
Yes.
this is what we believe so far.
Yeah.
1,000 years in the future,
Yeah.
1,000 years from now, I'm
Yeah.
sure they'll know much more.
So
Whereas religion
yeah,
says,
yeah.
this is the truth, there's no
Yeah.
interpretation,
Yeah.
there's no room for error, and there's no amendments. Do you know what I mean?
But do you believe in objective truth?
there is only one truth. Yes,
There's only one truth.
There is only one objective
So if
truth. At
I
the end of the day,
right.
there is only one truth. Yes, definitely.
So
Whether or
there's
not
only
we
one
can
truth.
find it, yeah. Whether or not we can find it or not is different. But
Right.
there's
So,
only one truth.
but right.
I know.
Yeah. That's the point.
I don't think. It's,
The point is that look, Darwin evolution doesn't actually disprove the existence of God, by
I
the
know
way.
that's true.
Yeah?
Well, I don't know.
It
Does
doesn't.
the Quran say that we evolved from apes?
So now you're talking about revelation, but we're talking about the concept of God before.
Oh, okay. But you said the Quran, so that's why.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
because you brought up Darwin evolution. My point is that, look, I believe in Adam and Eve because of the Quran, because I've verified that this is the word from Allah, that this is from His messengers Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
What criteria did you use to verify that?
Okay, the criteria. So all right, before we progress in this, because I believe in progression, do we agree that whether you accept it or not, frankly speaking, I'm not here to force you. I'm here just to convey the message of Islam, yeah? So far we've explained the concept of God in Islam. That He is absolute one, He's self-sufficient, He doesn't have children, He's not born, there's nothing like Him. So this agrees with your heart and your mind. All of us, that concept of God agrees with your heart and mind. Any other religious understanding of God wouldn't make sense to you. You know, worshipping Jesus, worshipping...
I mean, to be fair, I know I said earlier
Yes.
that it makes sense, but...
Whether you like it or not, it makes sense to you. Whether you agree or not, it makes sense.
I don't think it does really make sense.
Okay,
Not
that's
really.
because... Okay. Respectfully speaking, Alexandro, I believe the reason why you're saying this is because you're following your desires.
No, you know what it is? I'll be honest
I'll
with
tell you
you.
why. Because you want to be your own sovereign individual. You want to control your own way.
Well, I
but-
think everyone wants that deep down,
But
it's
in
not
reality,
the-
there's something...
It's not, that's not misleading what I'm saying.
One second. The reality is, Alexandro, is that there are certain things that is beyond your control.
True, definitely, 100%.
For example, where you're born.
100%.
Did you choose where to born? Okay.
Did you choose your parents?
Did you choose your parents?
Yeah, but you can't just tell me you know why I'm saying something and then let me tell you why I'm
No,
saying it.
but that's the psychology
That's
of
what you
atheism.
believe.
No, but that's the
You
psychology.
can't possibly have any idea why I think what I think.
No, it's the psychology of
Would you
atheism.
like me to tell you why I said that, or would you want to assume why I said it?
No, because you said it before that, look, it makes sense, but it doesn't mean it's true.
True.
Yeah, so that's what you said. And I'm saying, whether you believe it's true or not, I don't know what's in your heart, but so far it agrees with you. The concept of God in Islam, it agrees with you.
It doesn't agree with me. It makes sense from a logical perspective. I can't find a fallacy with your explanation. Of
It
what
makes
God
sense,
is.
but it doesn't agree with you. How does that make sense?
How does it make sense?
Please rationalize it, because I'm trying to have a rational discussion. What I see atheism, it's not very, they never come up with any rational explanation. I always see that those who believe in the Creator
can I tell you?
always provides rational evidences.
Have I been irrational?
Well, up until this point, I would say you're being irrational now, because if you're saying that the concept of God in Islam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Tawheed, the oneness of God, that He alone deserves to be worshipped. He's all powerful, all knowledgeable. There's nothing like His creation. If that makes sense to you, and then you say, but I don't agree with you, then I have to question why you believe this was a rational response.
Okay. Can I tell you why?
Yes, yes.
Just one sec,
What
sorry.
basis do you don't you agree with him? Let's come to that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is. Okay. So when I say I agree with that definition, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is there's nothing that counteracts itself. There's nothing in your explanation about what God is that I could say, right, that doesn't make sense. It's not that I'm saying that I agree or believe or don't believe in God. What I'm saying to you is,
You're struggling.
you know what it is? It's that
It's okay.
I forgot my train of thought today.
It's okay.
But what I'm saying to you is that your definition of God makes sense from a logical perspective. But
It's not just logical. It's innate, instinctive.
you think that. I don't think it's instinctive. I wasn't born believing in God.
Okay, but for example, you know the causation, principle of causality, every cause has an effect. Okay. Did your parents teach you that?
Teach me what?
Did your parents teach you that every cause has an effect?
I taught myself.
You taught yourself. So where'd you get the knowledge from?
Reading.
Sorry?
Common sense, reading, learning, experiences in life.
Okay. If I throw this bottle in front of you, would you naturally look back or front?
Definitely look right at you, yeah.
Yeah, because that's instinctive. That's my point.
True. There are things that are instinct.
Right.
definitely.
So that instinctive knowledge, and by the way, this is discussed in philosophy as well. Even Aristotle, Plato, they discussed about the innate knowledge, that we've been given certain knowledge that's innate.
True.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, Alexandra, that look, not everything that is true means it has to be verified. These are self-evident truths.
But we should try
Like
to
consciousness.
Yeah.
You believe in
But
consciousness, right?
just because we innately know something to be true,
Yes.
doesn't mean we shouldn't try to verify it anyway. You know what I mean?
No, but you utilize your innate knowledge to reason. That's my point.
Yeah.
Because
we
we've
can,
right.
But then we still want to find out for sure.
But
don't we?
you can't rationalize without knowledge. Okay, so we have to utilize certain tools that we have been given instinctively to arrive at the truth. So when I explain to you about the concept of Allah in Islam, right, you utilize your reasoning, yeah, but it also agrees with you instinctively. It's like, for example, you have a seatbelt. For example, you have the seatbelt.
On this idea that that you think that I've instinctively agreed with this perception of what God is. Why is that very important to you?
Because your response says so. Because you say that I agree, but sorry, it makes sense, but I don't agree. And I'm just
don't agree. I mean I don't believe in that God. That's what I mean.
okay.
by
Belief is different, but I'm saying okay. You're entitled to your belief.
Yeah.
I've said it many times that look, I'm here to convey the message of Islam. I'm not here to force you. I'm not here to debate with you, because I would have actually respectfully ended the discussion if somebody says it doesn't make sense to me. Off you go.
Yeah.
I would say have a good day. But the fact that you said that it makes sense, but what didn't really make sense to me is when you said, but I don't agree.
Well, if I don't agree, what I mean is that I don't believe in that God. That's what I'm trying to say. To
No problem, but what is belief?
a leap of faith. That's what it is.
No.
It's saying I believe something even though I don't know 100%.
No. Belief is conviction, certainty, knowledge. That's belief. Trust.
But your trust can always be broken.
Do you trust that-
something and it can not be true?
Well, do you? Do you not accept testimonial evidence?
No,
You don't accept testimonial evidence?
it's not good enough.
Just like Darwin evolution, you accept the testimony of scientists.
But it's not just testing, there's other things too.
But you didn't verify yourself, did you? You didn't do those experiments directly.
Yeah, but I don't need to.
But
I don't care that much.
You say
know what I
that,
mean?
you say that,
Yeah.
but you do actually in reality.
What do you mean?
Because you only know about Darwin evolution, whatever the case, because of what the scientists have said. You haven't directly done your own observation. You haven't done the experiment for
But if
yourself.
someone came to me tomorrow and said, well, actually, it's not true, it wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't mind. I was going to live my life.
Yeah, that's again testimony.
Religion,
That's testimony.
Right, but I can't believe a religion based solely upon testimony.
No. Forget about
understand what I'm saying?
I'm not talking about religion, right? I'm just talking about source of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That wouldn't be good enough.
source of knowledge. Okay, why is that not good enough for you?
It's not good enough for me. Well, it's good enough for me to say that could be true, but it's not good enough for me to say, okay, I'm going to change the way I live my life.
Yeah, but you're
based
sitting on the
upon
fence. You're actually sitting on the fence.
that. About what?
Okay, so this is why I'm saying you're following your desires, because it doesn't care for you. If it's true, it's not true. If it's false, then it's false. I can move on in life.
Yes, correct.
Okay, but for us, we have a purpose in life.
I know. That's
Yeah.
what you believe.
So this is what I'm saying, Alexander. That look, this is why Allah says in the Quran that do you not see the one who takes his desires as his own God? Meaning, look, what Allah is mentioning here is that look, there are certain people that follow their desires. Yeah. Meaning that look, I don't care if it comes out to be false. I'm still going to carry on the way how I live. Okay, fine, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But then you can't ignore the facts that there is God that exists.
That's not a fact.
Sorry?
That's not a fact.
That's not fact.
I don't think so.
It's consciousness fact. Can you test it?
Yeah, but conflating two different things that prove
That's
something else.
not complete. I'm just
I don't
talking
know if I agree with
about. I'm talking about consistency. Do you believe in consciousness?
that. I don't need to believe in consciousness.
I didn't ask you whether do you accept there is consciousness?
I accept that when I wake up, I believe I exist and I have to live my life somehow and go on.
Yeah.
And so if that means believing that consciousness is real,
So how certain
my
do you,
own sanity,
how certain do you exist?
how certain am I that I exist?
Yeah.
About 100% certain.
About 100% certain. And who taught you that?
Nobody.
So it's innate, instinctive. Where did that instinctive knowledge come from?
It came from just waking up every day and thinking, having a brain.
That's not answering the question. That's just the outcome. I'm asking you, where did you get that innate knowledge from?
Well, it wasn't God. At least
I didn't
don't
say
think
about
so.
God. I'm just questioning where did you get the knowledge from?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
No idea. All I know is that
You don't believe it's self-evident truth. That's self-evident truth. Consciousness is self-evident truth, but we can't verify
I
it.
understand what you're saying, but you see, you know why I get a bit tripped up when you ask me that kind of question? Because
Okay.
it's true that it's self-evident, right? That instinctively we understand that we're
Yeah.
conscious and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But I would like to have an answer as to why.
But I would like you to give me the answer why, after explaining to you the concept of God in Islam, when you say that it makes sense but you don't agree, is that a rational response?
Something can make sense in theory. Doesn't mean I have to believe that it's true.
I didn't say about belief. That's up to you. That's your choice. I'm just saying. It's talking about statements of facts. Yeah. Because look. With all due respect, I think we can both agree that feelings doesn't take facts into facts don't take feelings into consideration. Okay, fine. So we're not talking about your feelings. We're talking about factual statements. Yeah. So that's why I'm going to ask you again, just kindly, if you could kindly explain to me why, after we explain to you the concept of God in Islam, not concept of God in Christianity, whatever, but just the explanation of Allah in Islam, when you said it makes sense, but you don't agree.
Well, I explained to you why I said that. So I told you when I say I don't agree, it's because I'm saying I don't. You explaining to me your definition of God doesn't then lead me to believe in that God. Does that make sense? That's
No.
what I'm saying to
I'm talking about the concept.
you. Yeah. The concept.
Allah is not the God of Muslims. Allah is the God of all
I
mankind.
understand you think.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Not like God of Israel and all that stuff, no. Allah is the God of all mankind. Ilahin Nas. Rabbil Alameen. He's the sustainer, the Lord of all creation. Okay? So don't think of a Muslim concept of God.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So kindly explain to me why it agrees, why you say it agrees, it makes sense, but you don't agree. Is that a rational response?
You're hung up on that, but I've already explained it to you.
But do you believe that's a logical response?
As in that statement?
Yes.
That statement,
honest.
is it logical?
Yes.
It makes sense, but I don't agree.
Yes.
It can be. It depends
Give me one
if then-
example.
It depends. Well, it would make sense if then I told you this is why I don't agree.
But no. You're still not answering my question. I'm saying that after explaining to you the concept of God in Islam, and then when I asked you, does it make sense to you, say everything makes sense to me, but I don't agree. I'm just trying to understand, because I don't know what's in your mind.
Because it
But I
makes
want you
sense,
to
but I
tell
don't
me.
believe it's true. That's
Sorry?
what it is. It makes sense. What you're saying,
Yeah.
in theory,
Yes.
it all makes sense. It all fits together nicely.
Yeah.
You painted the picture.
So that's
of
true.
What you believe God is.
Then it's true.
But I don't believe it's true.
But it has to be.
Okay, can square triangle exist at the same time?
It doesn't matter. Listen.
Wait, no, it does.
Someone
Wait.
says
Alexandro,
something, it makes sense, it might be true.
Alexandro,
Yeah.
why do you say it doesn't matter?
Because I don't like that idea of kind of
Why not?
conflating two different things. I don't.
No.
Just because a square triangle doesn't exist doesn't mean if something, the way you've explained it makes sense.
No.
Doesn't mean it has to be true.
No. Why doesn't that matter to you? When I give you the example square triangle, because you know.
For example, you're conflating two different things.
No, it's consistency.
But let's just say, let me give you an example of this then. Let's just say if, in theory, if I could prove that a square triangle exists, oh, we know I can't, but let's say if I could prove
Okay.
a square triangle doesn't exist,
Okay.
does that mean God doesn't exist?
Sorry?
If I could prove a square triangle exists, does that mean
If
God-
I prove to you Darwin evolution, if you prove to me Darwin evolution exists, does that mean God doesn't
No,
exist?
it doesn't. That's what I mean. It doesn't make
so,
sense.
so that, it doesn't make sense what you're saying.
No.
It doesn't make sense. What Alexandra, Alexandra, look, listen to your example. Your example doesn't discount the existence of God. I'm talking about the principle. I
didn't mention the.
No, are you saying that there's a logical contradiction?
No, I'm saying I don't like having conversations in which you use kind of a binary example like a logical fallacy to explain your belief in your
But
God.
I want to be educated as to why you say that the concept of God in Islam agrees with you. But sorry, it makes sense to you, but it doesn't agree with you. I just want to understand why.
Because
If you say you don't know, then you don't know. Then we
it's
move
not
on.
that I don't know. It just doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. That's all.
But why is not
Something
true?
can make
He's
sense
asking.
and not be true.
But then but then when I asked you, do you believe there's objective truth? You say yes. So what's the definition of truth?
There's only one truth.
What does truth mean?
The thing that is real. In fact.
If
actuality.
I say something exists and that same thing doesn't exist at the same time, can that be true?
No.
Can square triangle exist? Can it be
Because
true?
we've defined what a square is and what a
Right.
triangle
Does
is.
it make sense? Right. Does it make sense a square triangle exists? So it doesn't make sense. Can we then agree? That it doesn't exist? Okay. If the concept of God in Islam makes sense to you, why don't you agree then? I'm just talking about your consistency. It's fine. It's fine.
I'll give you an example, right?
Okay.
Let's just say this. Let's say me and you having a conversation about something else. I ask you, what did you do with your day? And you tell me a bunch of things that happened. And I say, that makes sense. Does that mean you're telling the truth?
That's
Let's say you were lying.
subjective. That's subjective.
But this could also be subjective. From my perspective, you're telling me things you believe to be true. For you, they're objective. For me, you're telling me your opinion on what your belief is.
I don't have to because both of us agree. That's what I'm saying. Wait. No, Alexandra, look.
But you agree.
Alexandra, look, you haven't said it directly, but implicitly you do agree with us. I said implicitly.
I believe in
Don't
the
worry,
sense
it's
that
fine, it's fine,
if you painted
Alexander.
the picture, that picture makes sense. It's not like there's a face of an ear on the forehead or whatever. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean
But you
it's
don't
true.
agree the painter exists.
No. That's not what I said. What I said is.
But that's the conclusion.
No, it's not. You've painted you as a human being, not God. You as a human being have told me a set of things. The things you've said, logically, they all fit together. It doesn't mean they're true. You can make an argument, a logical argument, a theory. You can say something, it can make sense, doesn't mean it's true.
Then prove it's false.
I don't need to prove it's false.
So are you agnostic then? So you're not an atheist, you're an agnostic then.
I don't know. I'm an agnostic. I live my life as an atheist.
You said you're an
but I
atheist.
don't-
Oh, I see where you're
live my
coming
life
from.
as an atheist,
I see where you're
but-
coming from.
But I'm not saying 100% God doesn't exist.
Do you think that's
It's just
logical? Do you really think that's the way we can operate in life?
I really, with my heart, believe that God doesn't exist.
I don't-
Enough to say I'm not going to change the way I live my life.
After we explain to the Islamic conception of God, you can never be an atheist.
What do you mean?
Because you just said it makes sense. Whether you agree or not, I don't really care. To be honest.
Why do you think me saying it makes sense?
It's okay, Alex. It's okay, Alex. It's for you to think about. It's for you to think about. All I'm here is
You're
with.
being a bit arrogant.
I'm not being arrogant because
I think you are.
because your statement is proof. You don't need to tell me. You've said it already.
Explain to me how that makes sense. If I tell you something,
Right.
and you're going to use something I've said, maybe without thinking a little bit.
Does the doctrine of the Trinity make sense?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
You just
in the
said
sense
you-
that
you just
if
said-
there's no powerful God and God is not dependent, then it wouldn't make sense for then God to be a human being. And so no, it doesn't make sense.
We've had many conversations with Christians, even with Muslims, and
This was the argument.
I'm not here.
I'm not Christian,
Alexandra,
I mean-
sincerely speaking, I'm not here to win an argument or anything like that.
It sounds like you are a little bit.
I'm not.
Because
I'm
you're
just.
very hung up on kind of this idea that I said it makes sense, and so that you think that means what?
If you said I don't know how to respond, then we can move on. But if you're trying to answer, but you're not really answering, then I do have
I
to
did
say.
answer. I've answered 100 times. I don't know what you want me to say.
Do you seriously think you've answered the question?
Well, so if I tell you in my mind what you've said makes logical sense in the sense that there's no
Okay.
fallacy to it.
Exactly.
There's no fallacy. So in a sense that
Now you're using
all
the term
pieces-
fallacy.
Well, what I mean by that is there's no contradictions in your definition of God. That's what I mean when I say it makes sense. That's what I mean by that. There's no contradictions. So of course, logically speaking, that makes sense. But it doesn't mean that I believe in God. It doesn't mean that I.
I'm not
think
saying.
that.
I'm not saying to
But that's
believe.
what I'm saying to you.
I'm saying believe. Look. Belief is up to you. It's really
But that's
up
what
to
I'm
you.
saying. I'm saying I believe it. That's it.
I'm talking about statements of facts. That is.
You can't say that.
One second. I'm talking about factual statements that is independent from our feelings and our opinions. If I say, look, if somebody, look, let me give an example. If there's two people that's arguing whether this tree exists or not.
Say that one again, sorry.
If there's two people that's arguing whether this tree exists or not.
Of course.
Okay? I don't really care what's my opinion, what's your opinion. Objectively, this tree exists whether we agree or
So
not.
what
You
you're
agree?
saying is, your definition of God objectively is true, whether or not I agree with you. Is that what you're saying?
You just mentioned it. You mentioned it yourself. It makes sense, but I don't agree. So that's why I'm going into a rational inquiry.
That's a circular argument.
I think you employed secular argument. I didn't, because I'm going by your paradigm. Because so far we're on the same page. But we're on the same page.
I didn't set a paradigm.
Sorry?
I didn't set any paradigm. I didn't give you any.
I set a paradigm. You set a paradigm.
How did I set a paradigm?
Okay. The fact that we both come to conclusion that the message of Tawheed in Islam makes sense.
No, that's not what I said.
You just said that. It says it makes sense.
I said when you told me that God has to be, independent of other things, all powerful.
Yes.
That makes sense in the sense that if I were to believe in a God, that definition of what a God is would make sense to me.
So you don't believe? Okay. Now I get where you're coming from. So you're deist then. You're just saying, look, there must be a higher being power,
I'm not saying
but I
that.
don't. Then what are you saying?
What I'm saying to you is that I wouldn't believe if you told me that God was, I don't know, Zeus.
Would you
I
believe
would say
it?
that wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense to me either.
The way you've defined God, in so far as what I believe a God could be if it existed, that makes sense to me. But it doesn't mean that I think that God's real. That's all I'm saying to you. Can you understand?
It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense what you're saying. I'll be honest with you, Alexandro. This is why, with all due respect, this is just my opinion. To hold a position of atheism after listening to the concept of God in Islam,
You've not proven anything. You've made an argument.
I don't need to
Listen
prove. You've agreed it.
I've listened to your argument.
It makes sense. You said it makes sense. Why does it make sense?
It makes sense because there's no contradiction to what you've said.
Yeah. So if there's contradiction, then it can't be true. If there's no contradiction, then it has to be true.